Paul says.
But with the Monken thing too, I mean, you talk about taking over this job, and of course we know it's a handful anyways. It's the Browns, and to your point, when we were talking about the Raiders, they haven't been good in a long time, and it's not been anything sustained. We've had a year here, a year there, whatever. But now he's taken over, not only with like the Myles Garrett situation a little bit, where you wonder where that's going to go into the future of the Cleveland Browns and their organization.
All right, so the Myles Garrett thing is completely and totally fabricated by the media. There is no problem with Myles Garrett. He hasn't expressed any problems with the organization, nor has the organization expressed any problems with he. The Browns were good in 2023. They made the playoffs because of a strong running game, not because of that weak coach, excuse me. Hit that thumbs up. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and share. So what's going on right now is a coordinated effort by the media to smear the Browns. Why? Well, there are several reasons. It's because of ownership, the organization itself, and the general manager. What do I mean by that? Well, we're going to find out.
But the quarterback situation too. I mean, damn, he's got a tough situation here. He does. He's got a Shedeur Sanders, who we know is very popular throughout our country, social media. He did some good things, but he didn't do enough good things to just go, oh, he should be the definite starter here. And we just...
That's a backhanded compliment. He's very popular. That's what it is. These white supremacists hate Shedeur's fan base. They hate the fact that he is ultra popular. He's more popular than their favorite quarterbacks, the Josh Allens of the world. And he did more than enough to be named the starter for this year and the future. He showed enough bright spots to where you can say, I can get behind that guy. They know it. You see, they're lying because they don't like Shedeur or what he represents.
Pull out the carpet. We got Deshaun Watson, who they've paid all this money to do nothing for the last 5 years. And that...
Don't even get me started on Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson did a little something before he got injured and before he was unjustly suspended. Whether he can come back from the injuries, we don't know. Looks like he can. But they have now parlayed this into he hasn't been good for 3 years, for 4 years. Now it's 5 years. So they are in the business of creating scenarios to where quarterbacks and players in the league that are black are unable to perform their duties because of outside harassment. Then they use that as an excuse to ridicule them for bad play. Getting suspended for bogus sexual assault charges is not equivalent to bad play. Being injured is not equivalent to bad play. And Todd Monken is taking a lot of heat too. They don't like Todd Monken. He hasn't even coached a game yet. They are hating on him. They don't like Jimmy Haslam or the Browns because the Browns and Jimmy Haslam are known to give people a second chance, to be fair in dealing with people that have legal problems. Let's keep going.
He's healthy, and they're going to give him a shot. We're going to see if Todd Monken can inject some confidence back into him and get him playing somewhat close to what we used to see back in the old days. But yeah,
I don't think Todd Monken needs to inject confidence into him. I think Deshaun Watson has the confidence. Now, that's an old trope for all of you young cats out there. That's an old thing where they try to give all of the credit to the coach. This time they are starting early before he's even coached a game.
This is a tough one, and one where you feel like I think the Browns are kind of cornered. They don't have a choice but to start Shedeur Sanders. That's kind of my 2 cents here, and that's a tough way to start as a head coach.
Here is Todd Monken talking about the quarterbacks, and I agree with you on Shedeur Sanders. I think the moment they made a big deal of him changing his number from 12 back to 2, I think, you don't hype that up for a guy who is likely to be your backup.
Exactly.
You do that for the guy who's likely to be your starter. Here is...
Wow, the hatred is astronomical. No, we all know Shedeur is likely to be the starter because that's how he played. But they want to cling to the lies that they told during the draft last year and him being unjustly drafted in a later round when he shouldn't have been, in a much later round. I mean, he should have went number 2 overall, but the fix is in. This is craziness. People, what you are witnessing is insanity. They feel some type of way. Look at their faces. Again, it's very important to look. These are beleaguered men. These are troubled men, or lack thereof. These are chumps and punks. They are upset because they do not have the skill. Okay? Why is he talking to me about sports? Can you please tell me that? Why? He can't play sports. You can't play no ball. And that's what's behind all of this hatred for professional athletes that are black, in particular Shedeur Sanders. Let's go.
Todd Monken, when asked, do you know who will get the first reps at quarterback when it's time to go out and get on the practice field?
No, not really, because there's enough there of all three. I mean, I think we'd all be able to say that. There's enough there to really like Deshaun, the way he plays. And there's enough there to really like the way Shedeur played at the back end of the year. And there's enough early in the year from Dylan that is playing the position at a very high level. So I don't see it as, it's been brought
Now, notice he didn't say to really like Dylan, but we're going to keep going.
up a lot more to me than really what I think about. Other than, someone's going to have to start off first, and someone's going to go second, and someone's going to go third. And then we'll be willing to switch that. That's easily, on a daily basis, what we see, just like any position. That's not set in stone.
Look, I think Deshaun Watson's going to get an opportunity, and it's going to be up to him at that point. He was playing well in 2023. They had that big win against the Ravens, injured the shoulder, done for the year. They still got to the playoffs that year, lost to the Texans in
23 was only 3 years ago, not 5.
wild card round. But he'll have an opportunity, and we'll just see. We'll know. It's just like, quarterback shows up and starts throwing passes, the other guys on the field are going to know if he's got it. It's been 6 years since he's played at a high level. He's at least going to have a chance. Why is he going to have a chance? Because of the structure of his contract and the way they've handled the cap charges. They had to keep him on the team. They don't have to play him. They just have to pay him, but you can't send a guy home with pay anymore. He's there. Let's see. Let's see what he can do. And I can see Todd Monken having that attitude. All right, he's the quarterback on the team. The quarterback's on the team. Go out and play quarterback.
Yeah.
And you go, then you go, then you go. And eventually we'll know which guy's the guy.
That's right. He's not going to judge it. He's not going to have preconceived thoughts. He's going to go out and go, well, let's see what you do with the stuff I'm teaching you, and we're going to evaluate it from there. So that's what's cool for Deshaun Watson is I think he's going to get a total clean slate here. And a guy that's going to go, wait, as we always know, especially with like the offensive genius type, I think I could change this guy at quarterback, or I can do this to make.
There they go with that genius word. He doesn't need Todd Monken to change anything. He needs to learn Todd Monken's offense, of course. And I still got Shedeur starting over Deshaun. I think Shadeur's going to win it out. Either way, the Browns will be good because those are both good quarterbacks, but I got Shedeur starting the entire season, barring injury. But why the negative energy and vibes?
Better. But, all in all, I still feel like you could say all that stuff. Dylan Gabriel did have some good moments. We know that. It just, to me...
No, Gabriel did not have good moments. I think Monken was just being fair not to throw anybody under the bus and not to tip his hand to the media.
Scrutiny and the public pressure and everything, you could say it's Shedeur. I mean, we had people ready to pillage the city of Cleveland last year because they started Dylan Gabriel. I don't think there's any choice in this matter. I think this is one where it's like, it's a competition, but it's not really a competition. It's going to be Shedeur Sanders as a starter unless he totally just is absolutely horrible in the spring and training camp. Because I just feel like, the public clamoring, the media, the social media, everything there, he did.
I think we know better than to think he's going to be absolutely horrible in training camp. These are really slick, subtle jabs that they are throwing. Be careful of the haters.
Have some good moments. the crowd that thinks he was screwed over and there was some conspiracy and making him drop and all that. It's just a lightning rod topic to where I think the Browns are almost cornered to having him start and going, okay, if you do good, you're the man and you're the starter. If you don't, okay, you sink, and now we start the next guy. And I just feel like that's where it's going to go here in Cleveland.
I agree with you. Remember some of the crazy stories last year that Kevin Stefanski was sabotaging his career and just all the different stuff.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Now,
right.
Should they have drafted him in?
No, what's crazy is to watch last year's Brown season and think that there was not something going on behind the scenes to sabotage Shador. It's obvious.
Round 5 after drafting Dylan Gabriel in round 3. No.
Yes.
As you said last year,
That's
this
right.
is not how you build a team. You don't go out and you don't let analytics go so haywire that you just go out and
lose the human element.
We can get a quarterback. This is value. I think I joked at one point that maybe they would try to make a run at Tua Tagovailoa. This is a guy who was once a $50 million quarterback. We can get him for $1.3 million. There's value. Got to get value. And I think Todd Monken will provide a valuable balance to what I think has been an unhealthy obsession with trying to take a sport that has a very strong human component and turn it into a mathematical equation.
Yeah.
It's gone too far at times. The Browns have gone too far. The Paul DePodesta stuff went too far.
Totally.
And I think Monken is the great counter to that. I think he's exactly what they need to just have, you get two sides to it. We got the numbers and then we got the human.
Yeah.
And there's a middle ground there that maybe they haven't been finding.
No, we don't need to draft Tua or sign Tua. That was a dumb comment. But you expect that from Florio.
In recent years.
Yeah, would agree with that. I think, he's a guy that's going to know his gut, his common sense. I've been around football a lot. I know what the numbers say. Screw you. I'm on the field. I can feel what's going on here right now, and I'm seeing it with my eyes. We got to do this right now. And I do think Todd Monken is the kind of guy to, do that right there.
Hi, it's Mike Florio.
These suspected white supremacists are pathetic. We're going to check in with the local Cleveland media. That's spelled with a triple K. Do not forget that thumbs up.
Let's get to Mary Kay Cabot. She's always civilized, and she joins us on the Make It Right call.
Let's not get to Mary Kay, but okay.
Kyle Wright hotline. Hello, Mary Kay.
Hello, guys. How you doing?
Doing well. Is Myles Garrett not showing up to voluntary workouts a big deal? This is today, a tradition unlike any other.
It's not necessarily a big deal, but I think it's noteworthy. I do think that when you hear guys like Tyson Campbell and Carson Schwarzenegger talk about why they're here and why it's important, and the same thing with Denzel Ward, and when you hear Todd Monken talk about the camaraderie and the bonding that takes place at this time of year, I do think it sends a message if you can show up at least for the first few days. So if I were Myles Garrett, I probably would have come for at least this first week. Then you can kind of slide away for a little while and come back and hit some of the highlights. But being there at the beginning, I think, is really good for a lot of reasons.
Do we think
Myles Garrett is the single season all-time sack record holder? He does not have to show up for a damn thing. How dare Mary Cabot, that's spelled with a triple K, leader of the Cleveland media, that's spelled with a K? How in the hell is she on here disrespecting the best player not only on the Browns but possibly in the league itself? Who is she? Why is she? How is she? She needs to get lost. Is this what Donald Trump meant when he said DEI?
Myles and new head coach Todd Monken will actually meet each other before the first day of actual training camp.
Yes, absolutely, because they have a mandatory veteran minicamp that he has to attend, and that is June 9th through 11th. Now, I'm very curious to see if he attends the voluntary minicamp, the bonus camp that they've been given, which is April 21st through the 23rd. That's for teams with new head coaches, and it's really an opportunity to put these guys out there in 11-on-11s early in the process and kind of see what you have and put the playbook out on the grass a little bit. So I'll be curious to see if he does that. it's really not something that he usually would normally do. I don't think it's part of his paradigm to show up for that, but you never really know. So we'll see how that goes. But I thought Todd Monken, his answer to my question to him about this topic was pretty telling when he said, I would be there. That's how I'm wired. I wouldn't miss it. But he did add, of course, that he knows that Myles will be ready.
Do you think he's annoyed then?
No, he's not annoyed. And Ken Carman has been on the right side of the whole Shedeur Sanders thing. But, I understand these shows, they like to create drama. Mary Kay Cabot goes to these press conferences. I would love to see them ban her from these pressers, kind of like Deion Sanders did to that reporter out in Colorado when they first started out at CU. She's a troublemaker. She is a flip-flopper. She says something different every week. We do not need her. Get lost, lady.
Not annoyed, not annoyed, because they're not allowed. We know they're not allowed to be annoyed.
It's collectively bargained, no annoyance.
Right, they're not.
Some really polite laughs. Almost like they're scared of Mary Kay Cabot.
It's not permitted, but I do think that, of course, he wishes that the NFL Defensive Player of the Year were on hand to meet his new defensive coordinator, to hear the message about what this season is going to be all about for these guys, and to help mentor some of the younger guys on the team.
All right, real quick, Mary Kay, if you allow me to indulge. Kenny, can we get you on record?
What?
Mary Kay referenced a bonus camp, that another opportunity where he could be there, that they get this camp opportunity because they got a new head coach. Will you be excited if Myles shows up to that?
Excited?
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Okay. I just want Ken to be on record.
That's a non-answer. Yes, I'll say yes.
Okay.
Fine. The why not part tries to leave me like an out, like, I don't care about answering your question. I'll answer. I'll say yes. I'll be excited.
All right, Mary Kay. The other quarterbacks, obviously, that's going to be front and center throughout this entire process up until training camp and throughout. Deshaun Watson.
And again, I just want to, before we get to the Deshaun Watson hate, I just wanted to reiterate, they are trying to generate a negative tornado storm cloud around Myles Garrett. It's not working. Myles Garrett ain't did nothing this offseason but flash a fly-ass watch in the elevator while going to the Tonight Show while his star meter is rising. And they want to pull him back down to their level of existence of nothingness. They absolutely, positively hate people that are shining, especially when they are black, hotter and brighter than they are. Remember a couple of weeks ago, they were talking about Myles Garrett leaving the Cleveland Browns and trading him, and we could get 6 picks and shut the hell up. You sound dumb. Now they just want to push this thing where we don't know where Myles Garrett is going to end up. Myles Garrett ain't said nothing about getting traded. He just signed a contract. Trying to manufacture a story based on negativity.
Was he there, Mary Kay?
Yes, he was there.
Was Dylan Gabriel there?
Yes.
Was Shedeur Sanders there?
Absolutely, yes.
The competition is on, ladies and
But
gentlemen.
they've said they were all there.
I know.
Okay, so
I had some theater to talk about the thing we're going to be talking about the most now. Once we get all this stuff about Myles,
and that's exactly the point. Some theater, theatrics, fiction. Look at Ken Carman's face. Yeah, that says it all right there. Ken Carman has been making a lot of faces lately. That's genuine. That's not sarcasm. I should go ahead and smack the hell out of this little fly on the wall, this mosquito ass by my ear.
and the new coach and the tough talk, all that out of it. Is it officially on between those three quarterbacks?
Amongst those three, yes, it is. It is officially on, and I think the key to this part of the competition is to know that playbook inside and out. I think you can separate yourself, differentiate yourself by memorizing that playbook and knowing it like the back of your hand.
The key is to perform better and make the better throws and to be the better quarterback.
And so it's incumbent upon these quarterbacks to really do that, to work on that. And then when you do get a chance to work with the coaches after this first 2-week period, you can go out there, you can play fast, you don't have to be thinking, and you can demonstrate that you know the new playbook. And it's not going to be easy. The terminology in these playbooks is very, very difficult. And these guys are learning a whole new playbook. And when I did ask Todd about that at the owners' meetings, he did say the learning curve on that will be steep. So they should all have their nose in that playbook, and that should be just as important right now as throwing the ball or lifting weights or whatever.
Go with me on this, won't you, Mary Kay? Go on a journey with me.
That lifting weights was a shot at Shedeur Sanders.
Do you believe that Shedeur Sanders started too soon in his career last year?
Can you still help me if I don't have all my tax documents together? I'm missing a lot of things. The short answer is one.
No, not necessarily. I don't really necessarily think so. I would say, though, it's probably somewhat debatable, because I'm not entirely certain that the coaches felt that he was ready for that opportunity. I know they worked very, very hard to get him up to speed, but I believe that they probably felt that he could use a little bit more seasoning. I mean, let's remember, he hadn't even gotten any reps with the first team yet. So it is probably a little premature to be starting football games when you have not thrown to Jerry Jeudy yet in a practice. But I thought that with what he had to work with what he had been given previously, that he went out there and still showed flashes of being a quality NFL starter, and I think that's vitally important.
Well, see, now that changes everything there, because I thought, he wasn't really prepared for it. They didn't do a lot to prepare him for it. He was thrust into action. And I thought, man, could it be possible that Todd Monken would go into this and go, it was really too soon last year. Maybe we go with the veteran, and then you come off the bench, get a chance to breathe, and then you come back in if things go haywire. But you don't think it's going to go that way?
I think that whoever shows, and it's not going to be easy to prove that you can go out there and be the quarterback that gives the Browns the best chance to win a game, but whoever demonstrates that and shows that is going to be the one that they choose to start the opener. And Todd said yesterday, and I believe him on this, that even the players will know, that they will be able to tell in practice who's going to be able to give them the best opportunity to win games on Sunday in September. And again, it's tough because you're not getting rushed. You're not, getting game planned for and all those kinds of things in practices. You're not running 7-on-7s in games. So it's going to be.
These guys in sports media have to learn to stand up to Mary Kay Cabot and others like her, whether they are man or woman. These are instigators, kind of like this little nerdy guy here, this little dork. The hatred, he's thinking about Shedeur right now. That's where that face is coming from. And he's thinking, how can I check Mary Kay Cabot for her stupidity without getting fired? Let's keep going.
Tricky, because a lot of times a quarterback is a gamer, and I think Shedeur is that. I think Shedeur is a gamer. He does often look good in practice, but he really seems to shine in difficult moments in the game. I thought some of his 2-minute drills were some of his best moments last season. And he does have that it factor that Todd Monken is looking for, and so does Deshaun. And we haven't seen it necessarily yet from Dylan here, but I think that he has some of that too as well. Of course, he did in college.
Dylan does not have the it factor, and you know what? We get it. I don't know if he was going to cough that time or let's.
So it's going to be tricky, but I think whoever gives them the best chance to win on the field will be the one who wins the job. Not who has the most experience, not who has the most marketability, none of those things. It will be the ability.
Marketability was a shot at Shedeur Sanders. Experience was a shot at Deshaun Watson. She obviously still wants to promote Dylan Gabriel, the supercomputer, the Commodore 64. That never panned out. Like the first IBM, a $1,500 deck of cards.
To win.
Mary Kay joined us right now on the hotline. So we had a big conversation before you came on about tough talking Todd and just his messaging. His style is complete 180 from Kevin. And I think it was pretty clear. We all would agree that Kevin's messaging got a little stale by the end, after 6 years. With that said, are there any advantages, disadvantages to the way that Todd approaches his communication, not just to the media, because who cares, but how he is in that locker room?
Well, I do think that you have to be yourself, completely yourself, and I think he is that. And I think that will be a refreshing change of pace for some of the players to have a coach who just is very, very real with them. He's embraced some of them. He greets them at the door. He's showing emotion, and I think that that's going to be a good thing for this roster, especially this very, very young roster. So I do like some of that. What I think that...
And you can tell that the players already are responding to Todd Monken differently than they did with that little white supremacist suspect in Kevin Stefanski.
Todd might have to tone down a tiny bit, and maybe he won't. I don't know. I mean, I do think it's good for him to be himself, but I'm not sure that, some of the cussing is going to be exact. The photo and things like that, I think you might want to dial that back a little bit. But the rest of it, I think he should 100% continue to be himself and just tell it like it is.
How did Quitshawn look as he got in there? Everyone's kind of wondering about the rehab.
We're going to stop there. Just wanted to give you all another look at what they are doing in the media. They have recalibrated. They have reorganized. But it's still the same old jive, the same old BS. They can't get past the fact that Shedeur Sanders looked like the starter last year. And they are now, surprisingly, shall I say shockingly, but not surprisingly, they're now trying to prop up Dylan Gabriel once again. You all let me know what you think. Leave your comments in the box.
Call this a must win, making franchise money with a dollar store pen. No coach, no lights, I trained in the midnight. The shadow, the pad, the combination, the jab. My position is pole, don't even try to pass. Fly the checkered flag, give me my flowers at last. I said the pain, the strife, I said the rank, the strife. Dominance is achieved through daily dedication. Losing is a disease, success the medication. Grind hard to just shine, winning it. Hard to just time, winning it. Toe to toe, that's right. Never stopping. I thought I told you never, ever. Yeah. Mental game, the vision, the plan. Execution. Yeah.